Financial Calculator video number 2, Inflation and Inflation-Adjusted Investments. Some will argue that money is the root of all evil. But here's the problem. Perhaps it's the root of all good too. Earth came to us in the Big Bang, first with subatomic particles, eventually atoms, and then finally home. We may have glorious modern civilization now, but we need to start the conversation here. Let's go back 5,000 years ago when we invent writing. Human progress shoots off like a rocket here. We also invent money right around this time. Money is a very weird thing. If you believe things are equal, you need some way to measure or prove that. Hello, money. Historians love to claim civilization and history began with writing. Around 3000 BC, we see the first evidence of writing in both Mesopotamia and China, the world's two oldest civilizations. We may have, however, invented money first. Money is a superpower. And if money is a superpower, then who is the supervillain? The answer is the devil. What do I mean by the devil? Devils are known to all cultures, not a coincidence. In fact, there was Set in ancient Egypt, there was Chernob in Babylon. Even Christianity, Judaism, and Islam share the same devil, known as Lucifer or Satan. I'm not saying he exists, but there might be a reason why we see this across all cultures of the world. It appears that wherever there was money and writing, there was religion and a devil. I do not think this is a coincidence. Why is this not a coincidence? One reason is that the devil is a metaphor for debt. That's right, the ancient religious leaders were the world's first financial planners. A common cause of slavery was not paying back a loan. Some of the earliest restrictions on how much interest you could collect from a loan comes from the Bible and Quran, not the government. Usury is a term that refers to outrageously high interest rates. So if you borrowed $100 and you needed to pay back $500, this would be an example of usury. The devil is associated with debt because religious leaders recognized how debt was creating slavery. Perhaps in tomorrow's video, we will discuss the 4 main ways that debt is like the devil. Let's just do one review question on interest on the financial calculator because it will help us understand today's focus, inflation and inflation-adjusted returns. Larry borrows $1,200 at 11% interest. He will pay back the loan over 8 years, and each year the 11% interest is charged. How much will Larry owe if he repays the loan all at once at the end of 8 years? Step 1. Assuming your calculator is on, clear the memory. That's the orange button above the C, and then the C button. Hit 1,200 for the principal, the plus minus button, and then PV for present value. Step 3. Hit 8N to tell the calculator there will be 8 cycles of interest charged onto the principal. Step 4. Hit 11 and then I/YR for interest per year. Hit future value in the top right corner of your calculator and you are done. Your answer is $2,765.45 rounded up. Now let's do the exact same set of steps, but we will do an inflation calculation. Just like interest is a percentage increase in your cost of borrowing each year, inflation is a percentage increase in prices, or a percentage decrease in currency value each year. A cheeseburger costs $15 today. Assuming a 2% inflation rate every year, how much will the cheeseburger cost you 30 years from now? Step 1. Assuming your calculator is on, clear the memory. Step 2. Hit 15 for the principal, the plus minus button, and then present value. Hit 30N to tell the calculator there will be 30 cycles of inflation affecting the principal. Hit 2 and then interest per year. Hit future value and you are done. The answer is $27.17. So when all of you are 30 years older, you can expect this to be about the price of a cheeseburger if inflation is only 2% every year on average. What happens if you grow your money, yet some part of it becomes less valuable because of inflation at the same time? It's kind of like watching a snowstorm where the snow comes down faster but melts when it hits the ground. You are still getting the snow building up, but it's just temporarily slowed down by the initial melting we see on the road. In other words, your money is still growing, but just slower because part of the growth in value is diminished by the inflation. Here is the calculation for inflation-adjusted rate of change. 1 plus rate of return divided by 1 plus rate of inflation minus 1 times 100. And just like before, we want our rate of changes to be reflected in decimals. Assume the stock market goes up 12% every year for the last 4 years, but also assume the rate of inflation is 5% for each of those 4 years. What is the true growth in value of your money, i.e., what is your inflation-adjusted returns? Well, if 12% is the return, our numerator is 1 plus 0.12. And if our inflation rate is 5, our denominator is 1 plus 0.05. What we get is 1.067. We have to minus the 1 and times by 100, giving us our inflation-adjusted returns of 6.7%. Tomorrow, we discuss the next biggest financial invention since interest, the annuity.